Hello everyone, my name is Faith. Welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial we have one goal. We want to create JWT authentication and authorization in .NET Core using identity, and we want to use MongoDB as our database, our data store. So let's start by creating a new WebAPI project in Visual Studio. So I'll create a new project. We call it the template is WebAPI. Wait, continue and say authenticator, Mongo Authenticator API or something. Mongo Authenticator API, I guess. Yeah. So let's hit create. Okay. The next thing we do is to install the required packages. Basically, let me first tell you about the package we're using. We're using this awesome project here. It's a NuGet package for using MongoDB for identity as a data store. So you can go ahead and start it. Look at the project; it's really good. So yeah. So first, let's go to my Visual Studio and hit manage NuGet packages. ASP.NET Core identity.mongo, I think, yes, MongoDB. So the first one right here. So add package. Lest I forget, this tutorial is using .NET 6. So let's accept the license. I also like to add two more packages, I think. MongoDB.bison and Mongo.driver too. Let's search Mongo.driver. MongoDB.driver, cool. So let's add the two packages. Okay, so package successfully added. So let's have a models folder. So I'll call it models. Okay. Want to create application user. So so for application user, we only want to accept just, let's say, name or full name, something like that. So okay, and it extends from Mongo identity user and takes a type of grid, which specifies the primary key type of our model. So Mongo identity user. Let's be sure that it has added it. Yes, it has added it. Why is it not showing? I think I got the name right. I did. Mongo identity user. Speed.net. Mongo identity core user. I think I must have got the wrong name, I guess. Let's remove this. let's remove this. I had it again. ASP.NET Core.identity MongoDB. I think identity.mongo. Okay, there is another variant .mongodb core. Let's see. .mongodb core. Yeah, here is our guy. Yeah, this is what I should have added. So ASP.NET Core.identity.mongodb core. So add the package, and we go ahead to create an application role class also. Application role. So we do the same. Mongo identity role, and it's a GUID. Oh, cool. Yeah. So we can decorate and tell MongoDB the driver that the collection name is rows, like to kind of just specify it at the time when the collection is created. It's going to be created. So for this, we say collection name. So we say users. Instead of having something generic like ASP.NET users and so on like that. So I think we did the same for role or collection name. Okay, good. So so once we have this, the next thing we want to do is to configure MongoDB in our dependency injection container. So whenever I'm using MongoDB, I usually like to do some serializer conversions. So I use business serializer. Register my serializer to serialize my GUID as string when they are getting to the DB, and all like that. So serializer. Let me first bring in this namespace. Okay. So new GUID serializer. Facing type of string. This is telling Mongo to serialize our GUID as string. So let's bring in the namespace. I like to do the same for datetimes too and datetime offsets. You don't need to do it, but yeah, I like to do it. New datetime serializer, and then datetime offset serializer. Yeah, cool, that's okay. So next thing is I want to add Mongo identity configuration. So let's create a new MongoDB identity config equals to Mongo identity config. So Mongo identity configuration. Let's bring in the namespace. MongoDB actually. Okay, cool. So MongoDB identity configuration. So and then we have MongoDB settings equals to new MongoDB settings. So here we set the connection string of our MongoDB database. So but we don't have that yet, so let's leave it as empty string for now till when we create a database. So let's call it let's say YouTube MongoDB. So inside there we can also specify our identity options action. So say options. This is what you already know when you're using relational databases like SQL Server, etc. with identity. So options dot, here we can define the length of our password. We can define several attributes like that. So options dot password, we can say it requires length. The minimum length is 8 chars. We can say, does it require non-alphanumeric, like a symbol, so require non-alphanumeric. We can say that's true. We can say, does it require lowercase, and so on and so forth. So password require lowercase. So require lowercase. Can say that's false. That is, if there is no lowercase, it will still pass. So you can define lockout settings. Lockouts. Lockout. So we can say options dot lockout dot default lockout time span. You can say from 10 minutes. From days, this is days, minutes actually. So let's do from minutes. You can do a bunch of stuff here. Maximum fail attempts, that is the maximum trial after which the individual will be locked out. So require unique email. User dot require unique email. You can say user, that is one user to one email. An email cannot be repeated, So that is that. So we have defined the MongoDB identity configuration. So let's add identity. So builder.services. It's actually configure MongoDB identity, I think, yes. And it takes some generic parameters of application user, application role, and then the primary key. So we're passing our MongoDB identity config, and here we can configure other stuff like the sign-in manager, user manager, and so on, role manager, etc. So can add user manager. I will say that user manager is a type of the identity user manager and takes a generic of our application user. Okay. Same for add sign-in manager. Sign-in manager, we say manager takes application user. Add role manager, it takes a role manager, identity role manager, and it takes a type of our application role. Then we can say add default token providers. You probably already know all of this before. So the main point of this tutorial is to show you how to do it using MongoDB. So yeah, that is that. And here you want to add app.use authentication. Okay, so we add this middleware here. And also one other thing, you also want to add authentication per se to the list of registered services. So we want to do service.add authentication. So services.add authentication. Let's call our lambda x. Okay, so x dot required so x dot require HTTPS metadata. So we want to say it's true or false. Save token, true. Token validation. This is actually JWT bearer properties. So let's first add x dot default authentication scheme. So we add JWT bearer default dot authentication scheme, default challenge scheme, JBR defaults dot authentication scheme. Okay, and then we add JWT bearer. I'll paste this. Okay, good. So token validation parameters. Validation parameters. So validate issuer signing key. You say true. Validate issuer true. Validate audience true. You can say validate lifetime too. True. Okay. And then you can define who or what are the valid issuer and an audience. So let's do that now. And after this, we'll bring in the JWT package. So valid issue. So we want to say valid issue is like HTTPS localhost valid audience. Localhost 5001. And we also want to say issuer signing key. So I want to say this is new symmetric security key. I'm doing this to save a lot of time. I don't want this video to be so boring and long. Let's just add code some key. Okay, so let's bring in the JWT package. The JWT bearer and add package. Accept. Okay, so we can bring in JWT bearer defaults. Okay, nice. Hold on. And let's bring in system.text.encoding. I think we are done. I want to add clock skew timespan.0. Okay, so yeah, so this is it as far as configuring things go. So let's create our controller to register users. But before that, I want to create like a DTO folder to hold the registration and the login, DTOs. So let's say DTOs and say login request and register request. So login request. Let's call this login request. Say login request is it takes a publish string email. Yeah. So a publish string email is required. It's required first, and it's an email. It's an email address type. So let's bring in the data annotations namespace string. Okay, and then email. What else? Yeah, we need password too. So for login, we need email and password. So we want to say this is required. Is data type is data type dot password. Yes. Yeah, good. So this is login request. We want to do something similar for register request. So register request, this is what we use to register a new user. So we have their email, we have their username. I don't want to have so much properties. We have their full name. Since we added full name to application user, so we'll get that from the register request. So that is it. Yeah, but we not be not. So so we have a password too. Password. So we have password, and then we have a confirm password field too. Confirm password. We have a confirm password field. Okay, so this is required. This is required is an email address. Username, is username required? No, not necessary. Full name is required, and password is required, and its data type is a password. Its data type is a password. So we have okay. We also have confirm password too. Is required. Its data type is a password, and also we compare it with the password property, like this. So password, and let's say the error message is passwords do not match. Passwords do not match. I think that's it for register request. Yeah, good. So the next thing we want to do is create our controller. So let's create an authentication controller. Authentication controller. So is a controller is an API controller. So I say it extends from controller base. So and also it's an API controller. The route is API v1 authenticate or wherever. So good. This is okay. Yeah, let's go ahead to create our two methods, the login and then the register. So let's have an HTTP post. The route is login, I think, yes. So so we have this login here. It takes a login request. Request, and then yeah. So that is the login request. So we basically, let's create another method to process the login request. We also need a response type. So like so, produces response type. Type of let's say login response. So okay. So okay, this is HTTP status code dot okay. It produces. So let's say login response here. Login response. We want to return the access token. We want to return the access token. We want to return, I guess, the email, the user's email. We want to return the user ID. We want to return the user ID access token. Let's say a Boolean flag of whether the request was successful or not. So let's say bool success. So same thing we'll do for register also. We'll need the register response. So I'm going to create register response now. Register response. So so we have register response. We have a message. I think like we'll just say something like user register successfully. I think success. I guess yeah, they should be fine. I think they should be okay. Okay, cool. So let's come back to the authentication controller. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's bring in the login response namespace. Okay, so var result is, so we await a login async method which we are going to create in the same controller. So actually this is just a quick and dirty tutorial. That is why I'm going to be doing a lot of logic and processing in the controller. So but as it stands, on a normal day you would have a service class that you outsource all of this to, so that your controller does not look like a dictionary or an encyclopedia. So we're passing the request, the login request that the user gives us. Yeah, so let's generate login async, and it returns a type of login response. So so what do we want to do here? Basically we want to check if the user already exists. So we need some other stuff. We need to bring in user manager. So user manager, type of our application user, which we already created. So we have user manager. I'm not sure yet if we will need sign in manager, but let's first get user manager. Let's bring in application user also, and then we want to generate a constructor from this now. Cool. So here we go. So this is, why is this saying error? Type is type of this, and yeah, we should be fine now. Cool. So let's return okay, or if or say if results if result is successful, if result does success is true. So we want to return okay with whatever the result is. Else we want to return, say, bad requests with let's say result.message, whatever comes from response message. Oh, I didn't put a response property message. So let's do that. Let's say message. Yeah, this is where we put the message, a readable message of what went wrong if perhaps the login was not successful. Okay, cool. So to log in, we want to check if the user exists or not. So user, we want to say await user manager, find by email async. I will pass in the email that is given. So if user is not, meaning our user does not exist. So we want to actually return a login response and say message is invalid user, invalid email or password, and success we want to set it to false. And yeah, that's that. So but if we get here, that means all is well. If we reach here, so let's go ahead to generate a token for this user. So by the time we reach here, we already have a user, a valid user that is in our MongoDB database. So what we want to do now is to create claims. So new list of claim. You already know all of this, I'm very sure. So the main goal of this tutorial is to show you how to do authentication using MongoDB as a database. So we have JWT registered claim names. Let me bring in some namespaces to make my life easier. So registered claim names, and I want to bring this also. Good, system.identity model. So I want to say subject. So my subject will be the user's ID. Yeah, cool. So we'll put another token. So we'll put a name token. So the users, should we use username or full name? Yeah, username, whatever. So we also want to put a JTI claim name. So JWT register claim name .jti. Okay, so this will be a hold up. Okay, grid.new grid.toString. Good. Yeah, good man. So we also want to encode a token identifier, so claim types dot identifier, name identifier. So it's still user ID to string. Okay, so we also want to get the user's token row claims. So let's put row claims in another object. So I'll say the user's rows will get the rows of the user actually. So we want to find equals to wait. So we want to get rows async. Get rows async for this particular user. So and once we've done that, so we want to use link here and say project each of them into a new claim object. So new claim objects, we say claim types, define the claim types as a type of row. Okay, and we want to pass in this particular guy. So we should have a list of yeah, an enumerable. Good. So and then we want to add this to our list of claims. So we add the row claims. So we say row claims, actually row claims. Okay, so once we're done with that, so I want to get our key, our issuer signing key. So new symmetric security key, and we say system.text.encoding.utf8.get bytes. Yeah, and we get the same key that we registered in the authentication in our DI. So the same key, the same guy. Yeah. So I want to dump it here. Good. Let's bring in the necessary namespaces. System.text. Good. So we have our key and signing credentials. We say creds, I guess, new signing credentials. So I want to pass in our key and define the security algorithm. So hmark SHA-256. Okay, cool. And then when does this token expire? I guess we want to say it expires in 30 minutes, I guess. So add minutes, 30. And then so let's create a token object, new JWT security token. So issuer, hold on. So issuer is our issuer. We have to copy the same issuer. We have to have the same issuer as we have defined here. So copy. On a normal day, by standards, and how you would do when you are doing real development or in production. You're supposed to have all these values, at coding in like your app settings.json, a config file or something, or secrets. So I'm doing this because the purpose of this tutorial is not to show you all of that. If not, it will get very long and very boring. So audience, claims, we want to pass in our claims. Our expires, we want to pass in our expires variable, and then our signing credentials. We want to pass in our creds. I think we named it creds. Yeah, and that is almost all. So this guy is supposed to return a login response. So if we get here at all, we want to say return new login response. So access token is new JWT security token handler. We want to write token based on what we have encoded. Message, login successful. What's it called? Email, let's say user.email. Success is true. User ID, user.id. This is a string and this is a grid. Okay, cool. So yeah, good. So we are good with our login async method, our login. So let's create our register method. So it's an HTTP post too, and the route is register, and action results, we call it register, and from content body we want to receive a register request, and we'll call it request. So good. So the same thing, we have a register async. So var result is await register async, and also passing our register request. So let's create this method called register async. So it's supposed to return a register response type. Good. And I'm just going to copy this guy here and paste it. Okay, cool. So register async, basically what we do at register async is okay. So first, I want to do some error handling in this login async. I want to surround. Let's use snippets. Surround with try catch. Good. Yeah, good. So if we have some error, so we want to write line exception message, and we want to return new login response and say that success is false. And if you like, this is not compulsory, return the message as the exception message. So the same thing, before we start register async, I'm going to just create a try catch. Okay, cool. Return new register response. Message is if you like, and success is false for sure. There was some error. We cannot continue. So good. So let's to register a new user, we first want to check if the user does not exist. If the email user exists, goes to await user manager, find by email async. I want to check with the email that was passed in at the request. So so if user exists, is not null, so definitely there is a user with that email already. So we want to just return bad request. I think I had an early return here. Good. So let me copy this, and copy and paste developers. We reuse it. So only this is register response. So let's say user already exists or something, or you say invalid email to not give the user some clues for enumeration and all that. So the next thing we do is so if we get here, if we get here, no user with that email, with this email. So let's just create so let's say user exists. Let's reuse the same object. It's a new application user. Our full name is request dot. On a normal day, you're going to have something like automapper to do your DTO mappings to make it more elegant and so on. So, but this is like I said, we are not talking about all of that in this tutorial. That's not the main purpose. So we also have what else? I think I like to define concurrency stamp and username. I want to make it the email. What's it called? Username. I think this is it. This is it. That's just it. Okay. So we want to add this user. We want to create this new user. So var create user results equals to await user manager create async user exists, and we want to pass the user's password. Good. So if it failed, if create user result is not succeed, so we want to have another early return here and say create user failed. Yeah, and let's see if we can add some descriptive messages of what the exact error was. So create user result dot errors. I think we can hook into the errors property and dot. Actually, I usually like to get the first one and get his description. Okay, good. So this will give the user a clue. Maybe your email is not good. Maybe your password is not having, is not following the required, specified rules that we specify here. So the next thing we want to do, so if we reach here, user is created. So then add user to a row. So mind you, we must have created the role before now. So var add user to row results is await user manager dot add to role async. We're passing the user exists objects, and then the name of the row, we call it user. So actually this row user must have been created, so that reminds me we'll probably have an endpoint to create the user role or whatever. So actually in production you have a way of seeding your database with rows automatically. So if we couldn't add the user to row successfully, we can always do this later. So I'm not sure if there's a reason we'll have an early return for this, but let's see. I think we can have an early return. So add user to row result. So if it's not a success, we want to say user created but could not add user to role. So maybe at a later time we can create user succeeded but could not add user user to role, and we get whatever is the error description here. Okay, so but if we are here, all is still well. So we have a user that has a role and and all of that. So we want to return new register response and say success is true for sure, and then message is user registered successfully, and 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 that will be it. So let me quickly create the role creator endpoint. So HTTP post. So we have this is just create role. So we have a create role. Ah man, okay, role request. So over create role, await role manager dot create async. We have not brought in role manager yet, but I'm going to do that now. So create async. So let's bring in our role manager. So private read only role manager, and it takes our generic type of our application role manager. Oh no, underscore, and and then we add parameter. Good. So what does it take? It takes an application role. So we want to say var app role is new application role, and the name of the role will be our request dot role name, request dot role. So let's create a role request, create role request. Let's call it create role request. Create role request. So it's a string, and the property name is role. Okay, cool. So come back to our controller, and we can now do app role. Nice. So that way, if we call add user to role here, it will not throw an exception. So let's go on to return an OK and say new anonymous object here. Message is role created successfully, and that will be it for creating role. Okay, remember we still don't have a database, but it looks like we have all we need. Yeah, we already have all we need now to register a user and then to log them in. So this is, let me give this a route to say create role or rows / add, I guess. Okay, cool. So this is I think this is good. So next thing we want to do is get a real database which will plug in the connection string here, and that will also see our users as we sign them in. So we ask my friend Docker to help us out to quickly spin up a quick and dirty MongoDB container image. So let's do that now. So let's do that. I want to I'll run the Docker command. So Docker run d. So the name is Mongo. Say Mongo is the image. So it's going to be on our local port on 27017, and to persist the data into a volume on my machine. So we can add a volume. Let's say my Mongo data, I guess. So say YouTube Mongo data, and the image you are pulling is Mongo. So did I get that right? Okay, cool. So there we go. So we have this guy here. So this is the guy. So automatically I also have a MongoDB Atlas that will help us Compass actually that will help us visualize our database. So let me go back to Visual Studio. I think our connection string will be MongoDB localhost 27017. Good. And let's call our DB YouTube MongoDB. After this is done, we should be fine. I guess we should be fine. Let me see if I'm missing anything out. So we have our controller with all the three action methods. Yeah, we should be okay. So let's build our code. Let's build our code and run actually. Okay, good. So here, this is our Swagger. Now let's use Swagger to create our role. So let's call this role user and just fire. Actually, I'll use Postman. So let's create a new collection and say YouTube Mongo auth, I guess. So we have a new request. I'll call it create row, and the URL is. Let me come back to Safari. Okay. Put this. It's a post request. API v1 authenticate rows add, I think, yeah, and then the body. Yeah, I'm going to steal this body here. Cool. It's a JSON type. Okay, and we fire. Oh, good. So row created successfully. So let's come to our MongoDB Compass, and now we hit connect, and you see our DB is already created inside Mongo. So, and we have already a collection name rows. Remember, we specified the collection name inside of the here. So good. So we have user row. Good. So the next thing we want to do is to actually register a user. So I'd like to duplicate this request. Call this register. So authenticate / register, and the body will be. Let me steal what the body looks like here. Okay, cool. So okay, so username is John Wick, I guess. Full name is Jonathan Wick. Jonathan B. Wick, I guess. And we say Jonathan Wick at continental.com. And password, we say P password, confirm password. Okay, so let's hit enter. I'm not going to debug. Let's just hit enter and see if it works. Register. Okay, user register successfully. So let's come back to Mongo. Refresh. Actually, let me refresh my DB. So we have a users collection. I almost said users table. Yeah, we have a users collection already. We have our user here, Jonathan Wick. The full name is, what is the full name? Jonathan B. Wick. Okay, cool. So how about we try to log in this user. So let's duplicate this register guy. and log in. So call this. Oh, no, 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 no. Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Okay. Yeah, yeah. That isn't supposed to happen. Oh, oh my. Okay. So Jonathan Week at continental.com. Let's name this login. So email and the password is p at. Okay, so let's try to log in. Okay, so we have a token. If we come over to JWT IO to verify the token, so we see some of the payload. So we see the subject, and we see the JTI, the name. We see the role claims too. So and then the expiry period. So cool. Yeah. So we'll try to use this. To call our default weather forecast controller. So right now, weather forecast is going. See, it just goes. So it's not protected. So let's try to go back to Visual Studio. Before that, let me construct the request here. It's a get request. So weather forecast, and then this is the URL. It's just a simple get. It fetches data. So, but we want to protect this with our JWT that we just did. So let's stop execution and go to weather forecast. I want to decorate this with authorized attribute, and then yeah, bring in the namespace. So after we are done with this, yeah, let's run again. Okay, I think it's running now. Good. So let's try to call weather forecast again. It should give us a 401 now. So let's grab our token and copy it, and authorization bearer token, and we paste this bearer token here, and we call weather forecast again, and it works this time. So that's how it is. We have our database users, we have rows. That's just it. Thank you for taking your time to watch this tutorial. If you like it, please share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.